Welcome again to an evening with Linda Laverty. I'm going to turn the presenter duties over to you so that you can get started while I tell people a little bit about you. In this webinar, Linda is going to show you how you can prepare your students for the alternate assessment using IntelliTools Classroom Suite, Primary Skills Builders. As a special thank you for participating in this webinar, Linda has created sample alternative assessment activities in language arts and math that correlate to the Common Core standards that she will share with you through the IntelliTools Activity Exchange. So let me tell you just a little bit about Linda. For the past 11 years, she has been the Instructional Technology Specialist for Florida Diagnostic Learning Resources System for the Department of Exceptional Student Education in Palm Beach County, Florida. In capacity, she is responsible for the professional development in the use of universal and assistive technologies for all professionals in the school system. Every year, hundreds of teachers are trained in incorporating technology into instruction to provide enrichment and remediation to special needs students. Currently manages the implementation and usage of unique learning systems and assists with training in Meeville to Weeville and equals. And prior to this position, Linda was a classroom teacher of physically impaired students. Linda tonight is our own Suzanne Veit. Suzanne is an internationally acclaimed workshop presenter, trainer, and speaker. She has been a national consultant and training specialist for the past 20 years, representing IntelliTools software and hardware and Kurzweil software. This has entailed on-site implementation projects and presentations. She's responsible for developing curriculum materials, adaptations for students with special needs utilizing our products. Suzanne specializes in hands-on training and curriculum intervention strategies. She is the author of technology-based materials for language arts and math and has been in the special needs field for over 35 years. So, Linda,
Thank you. I'm very, very glad to be doing this workshop with you. I know that there's people of many different levels. Some of you have never seen Classroom Suite before. Some of you are experienced users. I did a brief overview of the program for those of you who have not had any experience with it. I promise this will be very, very brief. And I wasn't going to do it as a PowerPoint. I had to sit through a 50-slide PowerPoint presentation the other day on Common Core. It was to me, I guess the assumption was that give the district a release. I didn't want to put you through that, so this is very brief, and I use Classroom Suite as the presentation medium so those of you who are not familiar with it, what it can do. This workshop is about using Classroom Suite for the alternate assessment. And very briefly, the goal is that within it, you will be able to create an assessment that reflects the rigor and the format of state assessments. So, I use Classroom Suite.
PowerPoint on speed, animation, sound, hyperlinks, movies, short and photos.
Everything that PowerPoint does, you do in Classroom Suite. You can animation, you can import movies, you can have sound, hyperlinks, but it goes beyond PowerPoint because it provides text-to-speech so that a student sees everything that's being spoken by the computer. It allows for independence. Students can use the IntelliKeys and the keyboard with overlays, or they can use a switch, and I'm going to demonstrate that a little bit in the presentation. And also has data collection. We are accountable and we need to present data on our student performance. You have the ability to do that when you enroll a student and assign them work. It's a great teacher authoring tool. You can create interactive curriculum activities, download activities from the activity exchange, create your own instructional activities from templates, and slideshows of special events or field trips, and create assessments. And this last part is what I'll be spending a lot more time on. But just to give you a brief example of its use as an authoring tool. Find this to enrich a reading curriculum that we are using in Palm Beach County called PCI Reading. And it's very repetitive. It is very sound in its approach. The problem is that it's, what I'm looking for, boring. Okay, I mean, it is very, very repetitive. It is paper and pencil based. So to get more teachers to use it and to get student engagement, I took the stories we have, so it's not a violation of copyright, but I cannot post it. The activity exchange. I'm using this just as an example of what you can do with Classroom Suite. Now, if I have a student who is not able to access without additional keyboard, I can go to Options, and there's my IntelliKeys. I can make an overlay. I can attach an overlay that's been made previously or send an overlay. In one of the questions, it was that was sent about scanning. You can set your scanning preferences so you can magnify each item that's scanned. And I'm just going to briefly show you how this works. I want it to be dedicated scanning. And if the switch were attached with a switch interface, the student clicks the switch.
Done. Next page. Vocabulary words. New. Under. Book. Read. Ask. Heard. Room. About. Does. No.
I'm going to exit dedicated scanning. But you can have each feature that the student is scanning magnified as a visual clue. You have it speak each button. I can reduce the amount of items that the student has to scan by masking some of these features. So if all I was concerned about was they're just going to the next page in the story, I was able to mask all the buttons except this one, so they'd have to go forward. The reason why that's important is that you have students who are just learning to scan or who hit the switch at inappropriate times. When to activate a switch and when not to activate a switch are equally important. If I want to instill in them the idea that they can independently through this story, I could eliminate all of these buttons and it would just go forward. When the student is ready, I can introduce the back button. So all of these things are available in Classroom Suite, and I think it's important that teachers realize that alternative access is important for independence, for empowering the students to do things on their own. This program automatically comes with that built right in. Now I want to address the alternate assessment. In Florida, it's Florida Alternate Assessment. Teachers have another name for it that also begins with an F, but I'm not going to be able to mention that right now. FAA is the abbreviation for it. It is the Florida Alternate Assessment has a stimulus and 3 choices is leveled at only the participatory level, meaning that there are 3 choices if a student misses the answer. If he chooses the wrong answer, that answer is masked. He now has 2 choices. If he gets it wrong again, there's only 1 choice left. That is only at the participatory level. The participatory level is the most significantly disabled. And what I noticed from my experience with a publishing company is that they did not capture the rigor of the alternate assessment, captured labeling, they captured the 3 choices, but they haven't captured the rigor, and most of the rigor is really in the language that's used on the assessment. There was a need for a medium in which students can practice. This test is becoming more important, whether you disagree with it or not. It is going to have more impact on school grades than before. I believe most states are involved in assessing student performance for students with disabilities. I'd also like to mention that this test is paper-based. And one of the questions was, is it going to be in computer format? I think that would be a grave mistake. Instead of the scoring, it will probably be electronic. But instead of presentation, if it's on the computer, then you would not know if the student is responding incorrectly because of the technology. They aren't hitting their switch at the right time. They're touching the wrong overlay or item on an overlay. So I think that the response will still be, and the presentation will still be in paper format. This sample of the test, and for its practice, this is what the student responds with. This is what the teacher, the script that the teacher must follow when they give the assessment. So my purpose has been to create practice material for teachers to use that replicate the format. Now, before primary skill builders, I spent literally hours doing the format. With 3 choices, 1 would be removed, and there would be 2 choices. So, said that took me hours until primary skill builders emerged. And I was able to find that within minutes, and that's the whole purpose of this webinar, that you be able to, if you have Classroom Suite and primary skill builders, that you'll be able to create an assessment that's the rigor that matches the assessment. It contains the language and the skill. You will be able to get data on student performance. At the end of this webinar, you will be able to download the sample assessments that I created for you. They're all up on the Activity Exchange right now. So that is what we're going to be going to. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what assessment looks like. So this is a folder that you're going to see up on the Activity Exchange. It's called 2013 Sample Alternate Assessments. When you open it up, there is a folder for primary and a folder for secondary. So I'm going to open up the primary folder. I want to show you the geometry one.
There is one box in the box of crayons, which looks like the box that holds crayons.
and just asking which one is a square, which is labeling. The assessment always looks for function. So you don't want to just have activities that are reflecting labeling. What would be a good container for a box of crayons? Well, it wouldn't be a circle. It wouldn't be a triangle. Now, if they get the answer wrong, it takes the distractor away. They have two choices. They only have the one choice. And at this point, the score on the alternate assessment is a 1. And the test at that point for this question would end. However, in the template that's used in Primary Skill Builders, you to a different level in the question. So click here.
Dining room table is no corners. She realized that her dining room table is sheet 1A.
Okay, now this would be at the supported level, and the actual assessment, they will not get 3 choices. They got it wrong at the level. The test will end for that particular question, and it would be scored a 3. You could have gotten it right at the participatory level. And I know this sounds confusing if you've never scored an alternate assessment, but I've been involved in doing this for years. It's rather a unique situation for a district level person to be administering the test, but I'm involved in several high profile situations where I needed to be the one doing administration. I also had to check the validity of teachers doing it. This one, if you get it correct.
Correct. These are roads that you see, which of the road signs has 3 sides.
And I'm not just asking what's a triangle, taking it into a more functional domain. Is it right? Next.
Click the button to end.
Done button, the test would be submitted, and I'm going to save that. I just want to briefly show you scoring this. Go to the home page of Classroom Suite. Go to Teacher Options. That's where you enroll your students and you assign them work. So I assign this student this. And I can go in, open it up. Here's test. I see their score. So I can score it. Got all the responses. I got whether they missed it on the first response. I got it right on the second response. And by the way, if they did, on alternate assessment, the test for that question would have ended. The score would have been a 2. So I'm going to show you how to actually use a test. And we're going to on templates here. I'm going to go to Primary Skill Builders. And by the way, this is, in addition to just doing assessments, this is a great opportunity for you to do a sequencing of pictures, sequencing of text, a spell practice, and literally when you become familiar with the program, you will be able to create these activities in minutes. There's 2 different forms I can use. One is the comprehension level 3. The multiple choice one, ABC, gives you the opportunity to have a stick picture. But answers are in ABC format, which you don't find in the alternate assessment, at least in Florida. to the question. So just real briefly, I want to show you what that would look like. This is the multiple choice primary reading, and when I open it up, I could have my stimulus question, and just like in the alternate assessment, here are my choices. If I click on the wrong choice, it removes it. The difference is that in the alternate assessment, you get the 3 choices horizontally, at least in the participatory level. I like this one a lot. It took a little more time to do it because I had to go to the web and get a picture that I thought was appropriate for this type of question. In the other template, comprehension level 3, the hardest part, the most time-consuming part for you is relating the question. Suggest that regardless of what state you're in, look at your alternate assessments, look at the language, look at your practice exam, your questions, what you see in these state assessments. The difference that I found between publishers and the state assessment is the use of language, that they have more language built into the stories, more language built into the questions than what you see in Unique or AbleNet. And then I think that the curriculum that these developers have developed is excellent, their methodology is excellent, but the rigor and the language is not apparent, and it's needed for preparing students to take this test. So I developed some questions, and these are based on sample practice exam from the Florida Alternate Assessment. I'm going to do a reading activity. I'm going to go to Comprehension Level 3. I'm open it. Any further, just wow this stuff off because I really would be able to get through it, but I would like to give you the opportunity to ask some questions, if you want to write them in, if they're directly related to what I'm showing you. I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm just going to give you a minute to type any questions, and then we'll continue in actually making the assessment.
Linda, this is Debbie. Some people have been reporting that they're having problems with their audio, and I'm not sure what that is. It shouldn't be a problem. However, Martha just said she figured it out. Somehow the audio was put on pause. So I don't know.
Audio?
No, I'm not sure why your audio would be on pause, but people, No, I know. I'm going to look to see if there's a solution, and then I will come back online and let everybody know so that they can hear. Just participants, just rest assured that I can hear the audio very clearly, and so the recording is going to be clear. So if you did miss something, you can go back and listen again. And in the meantime, I will find out if I will try to figure this out. In the meantime, Linda, I don't see any questions related to your presentation, except to say some people said this is great. So.
Oh, well, that's wonderful to hear. Well, I'm going to go and do actually designing these questions. So I'm in the Comprehension L3 template, Primary Skill Builders. And one of the really nice things is that they have instructions for every single template. So if you forget something I've shown you, and that's very easy because it's not hands-on for you right now, you can just go back into the template. In fact, I'm going to close out 1 minute here. And this PDF file is a tutorial. So without having direct hands-on instructions, you can open up this tutorial and really figure out how to use it. I am telling you that the hardest part in all of this is just designing your question and getting your pictures. The hardest thing is the question. Next comes your pictures. And Classroom Suite has a picture dictionary. It also has a board dictionary. A lot of the times you can find your pictures right in the program. You can. My suggestion is to use Google Images. You can save the image as a JPEG and import it. And I will show you that in our tutorial because there are times when I had to go to Google Images to download an image that I wanted. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to customize and preview. Now, I'll change this background because it's just a matter of preference. You go up here. It's background. That's really, really bright. If you have children that are apt to seizure, you might want to pick another color. Then we're going to go to Customize. And in Customize, here are the questions. We're only going to use 3 questions because we're replicating the format of the questions. We're going to do participatory, supported, and independent. 3 questions. So first thing is I'm going to take out the 4th question. I'm going to click on my first question. I'm going to go to Edit. All 3 of these areas will be defined. So first question is, Bryce's mom. I'm typing one-handed, so forgive me, because on my cell phone. And this is my grandson's name, who, if he realized that I was broadcasting his name in public, would probably never speak to me again. Would help. That I do want to warn you about. When you're finished with your activity, check it. Because once you publish it, you really have, it's very time consuming to try and fix it. It's better to just toss the activity out and start over again. So that happened a lot. I thought, well, this is terrific. I did this. I publish it. I see spelling mistakes. I see the wrong picture. I forgot to take out the incorrect answer, ape, and I've got the ape, but I have a completely different picture. So make sure you check your work before you publish it.
Yeah, this is Suzanne. Sometimes if you just start with a new one, it's easier as well, as long as you put the correct answer on the far left. So you can as many or as few questions as you want.
Right. Well, in this particular case, because we are talking about the alternate assessment, and because the alternate assessment at each question will have 3 levels: participatory, supported, and independent, and that's what we're trying to replicate. So if you're emulating an alternate assessment test, you want to have 3 questions. Certainly, if you're talking about curriculum and you're assessing mastery of content, you can certainly add more questions, and you have the opportunity to do it. So first answer, you always put your correct answer in this first block here, and they tell you, picture for correct answer. They shuffle it when you publish the test, but when you're naming the test, when you're creating the test, your correct answer always goes in here. So correct answer is book. I'm going to click on in picture from library. When I do that, I have a choice between IntelliTools Library and Maker Library. So here, I'm going to click Begin With. I'm going to type in book. And here's some pictures of books I can use. I'm going to insert this book. The correct answer could be a game. And I'm going to go to my library. I'm going to type game. The game, I'm going to insert that. And my next answer will be vision. And then I go to the picture library, type in television. There it is. I'm going to pick that one. Insert. So I'm going to check. I have the I want to ask. The spell looks correct. Nope. That's full. Here's the answers, the picture. It looks correct. I'm done with my first question. And it would be at the participatory level. And this was actually based on a similar question that I saw on practice exam. So it contains language. It's not just which one is the book. It's right, Mom is reading to him. What should she be using to read to him? And click OK. Here's the next question. I'll go to edit again. Type in
You made a good point about expanding the wording on these things. You also have this text already in Microsoft Word file and just copy and paste it, couldn't you?
Exactly. And that's usually what I do. Actually, I did out, and I know I'm a technology person. Why am I writing stuff out and not typing it in? But for me, because I'm from that school that learned to use paper and pencil, I'm able to think better when I write it out and then I put it in a Word document, and like you said, copy paste it. And also, if you put it in a Word document, you can catch your spelling errors. So, actually may have let me check my desktop, and that would certainly be a preferable way than you're watching me agonize over typing in. And if I have to do it real quickly, I'm just going to move on. This example, no, I don't put on this computer. One of the hazards of working on multiple computers is that I don't always have everything in the same place.
And someone just asked about inserting pictures from the web. So literally you could...
Yep, I'm going to get to that. For this particular question, because it's showing plural, and IntelliTools did not have a plural for the question, the answer on this is actually books. And I went to Google and I made on my desktop a folder where I put all the pictures that I think I need for the activity. And I don't see them in Classroom Suite in Library. Then I go to the web, download the picture by right-clicking on it, save it as a JPEG. Now I can click on, see this icon here? This is where you import from files. So if I click here and get to my desktop, I can find my folder, and it's in the elementary reading. Here is the downloaded.
So that changes it for everybody, because people are saying, what about mature pictures? What about more digital pictures? And it's just that easy.
It's easy. The biggest problem that I have in a large district is that very often the district files images, and I end up having to do it at home. There are, those of you who are from Palm Beach know that any high school student can get around a district file, so you might want to check with them. My son showed me one way of doing it. But if not, you can Google books. I'm sure that you can find a digital picture or a clip of image of books. That is the go ahead.
No, I would say I know that you've told me in your district that all teachers have the take-home CD, so they can install it at home. That was another question that came up. So you're using the take-home version of software, so you can have it on their computers at home as well as in school, correct?
That's correct. The only, we've made a RIP of those for fast installation. A RIP is rapid installation process, and it is available to our teachers as a RIP. I have to have it made into something to be loaded on a flash drive for them to be able to take it home. But any Palm Beach County teacher who wants to have the home version for home use can do so. They need to contact me, and I will work with them on making it available for them at home.
I've seen that in Corpus Christi as well. Other districts that have the network license have allowed teachers to have the take-home so they can work at home and do that.
I'm not capable of doing two things at one time, so typing is taking all my energy, one-handed typing, and I'm just going to do this. We're just a two-question activity because it is up on IntelliShare website. I just wanted to show them how easy and fast this in the longest time it takes is just formulating your question, putting it into Classroom Suite, Primary Skill Builders, is a snap. It really is. It would take you less than 5 minutes to assessment.
And somebody, can we go in and customize an existing activity? And absolutely. There's only over 4,000 of them on the Activity Exchange. Linda's going to show you in a little bit how to download, but yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to finish this question. I'm going to take out the third one because, again, it's available on the web. Here's books. Here's my incorrect response. It would just be one book to my library book to put this book, and I'll say this is a storybook. And this one I'm going to make a textbook.
So to clarify, Linda, these are like the activities that you've uploaded to share. They were created with the primary skill builders. One of the questions was, will the things on the web be templates? And they're not. You would use the primary skill builders, which is a separate
What I put up on the web is activities that I had made that I finished. So they are activities, they're not templates. But it will give you an idea at the cognitive levels of kinds of questions that you would find in the alternate assessment. It will give you an idea of the language. Because again, the biggest difference I've seen in 4 years of administering this test and looking at curriculum from the major developers, such as Unique, such as AbleNet, such as PCI, is the use of language. If you can capture rich language, you will be prepare your students for the alternate assessment far more than they are prepared now. Using this template enables you to match the language and also the rigor. You want to get away from just labeling things. You want to be able to have the students demonstrate mastery of functions of things. My questions now, and I'm just going to take this out real quickly because it's agony for me to do this one-handed. And I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to publish. And again, before you publish, I would make sure that your activity is correct. Go back into customize, look it over.
Someone just said,
sorry, hold a second, because this one works great on my computer to where I didn't hear you because it was reading the question. I'm sorry, Suzanne, go ahead.
Someone said it's a good idea to save it into your My Work folder before you publish it. Because you can always go back, and if it's published and it's not the way you want it, you can always go back into the My Work folder, fix it, and then go back. So
true. I could go up here, and I could just say save as, and go into My Work.
Yeah, you know, there's little strategies and things that you pick up. I mean, this is obviously something Linda's already done and given to us, which is so cool. This is exciting, so I'm thrilled at this.
Well, if any of you like, you know, saving it to My Work folder is certainly an option to give you a chance to look it over before you publish it. Because when you publish it, it is much harder to correct. You know, this is an incredible template. The whole primary skill builders is phenomenal because spend hours and hours and hours creating the same thing. I've done activities with 3 choices. I've done sequencing activities. I've done fill-in-the-blank activities. And then primary skill builders came out, and I thought, and here it is. So it's a great tool. And really, as classroom teachers, you have the opportunity of not just using the activity exchange, which is a great resource, but you can put in content that you want to both teach and assess your students on. So this basically gives you an overview for how to use primary skill builders to make your own assessments. The one I published, and we're going to go through that. When you load them, you put them in your published folder. The template is what you use to create it. Once you create it and publish it, it will go to this folder. What you're going to download from the Activity Exchange will go into your published folder. This is what you use for your template. And if you have the program, you take at some of the fantastic things that you can do. It is certainly worth getting your time. And I know that money is very difficult in all classrooms throughout the country. The wing cuts that might occur are going to impact all of us. You can get your PTO if you have a wish list, if you have money for your classroom. Sometimes you're given money. It would be worth investing because there's so much that you can do with it. So I'm going to give some time for some questions, and then we're actually going to go to the Activity Exchange. I had a chance to look at my watch yet. How are we doing for time?
Linda, we have 10 minutes. This is Debbie. So let me ask some questions. They've been coming in fast and furious, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we're going to try our best to get to all of them, but if we don't, then we will answer them privately. Do you feel the medium of practice, digital practice, will transfer to the paper copy during assessment?
I think that it's get bored if you present them with. That's why I did the PCI activities, because there was such boredom with the program. And I think the same thing for practicing for the alternate assessment. It should be presented in both mediums because it will be paper and pencil, and we need to prepare students for that. But it's also, once you create an activity, you could be practicing all year with your students. You know, in Florida, we didn't get our practice materials until January, and teachers didn't even get it then. And we've got the alternate assessment Friday, and we have to administer it now. So this is something that you can prepare your students for starting at the beginning of the year. You know, the FCAT, we prepare our students, our regular students, for the FCAT starting in August. But we don't do that with our special needs kids who need just as much, if not more, than regular ed. I think you could do this if you have a smartboard, if you have an LCD projector. It can be a whole activity. The important thing is that you're preparing them for those 3 choices and the distractors being removed, and you're giving them the exposure to the language they need on these alternate assessments. Answer the question.
I think it did, yes. Another quick question regarding...
There was like silence. I'm thinking, oh my God, they're like...
No, I was on mute, Linda. Sorry, I was typing. So let me just answer a couple. I'm getting some questions in about the template that they're using. People want to know if they'll be able to get it, and Linda will cover that in a few minutes as soon as we're done with this question and answer session. And yes, those activities will be available to you. Somebody asked, my state does not have any examples of the alternative assessment. Do you know of where I can go and get some examples?
Usually, it's on the DOE website, like you were supposed to be covering. In Florida, it's called access points. Any teacher can go to the DOE website and look at the access points. Is what they want the student to be able to do. And a lot of the questions that I designed were based on looking at those access points, particularly in science. And that was the most time-consuming thing for me. Or you could look at curriculum that you're currently using, if it's unique, or if it's Meeville to Weevil, or if it's equal. Look at the question, but use richer language, more rigorous language. Instead of saying which is a square, think, okay, I have a dining table that's a circle. Well, a circle doesn't have any sides. Instead of saying to the student which is a circle, use the example of my dining room table looks this. Which one, my dining room table is a, and then you could give example, my dining room table doesn't have any edges. Dining room table is the shape of, and then would give examples of circle, square, triangle.
We're running short on time. Can you kind of go to the activity exchange and show them how to get this treasure that you've given?
Oh, I'm going to click on this is the home page for Classroom Suite, and to click on the activity exchange, you have to be a member. Membership is free. So I'm going to go to hope for my login. Actually was smart enough to save it. And if I go to find activity, or said I put new activity since you were here, so it's showing up here. If you go to find activity, I put in, should I put in 2013?
No, I would look at alternative assessment. Really, you know how I the search? You click on advanced, I think people will see more quickly. If you go to advanced, and then at the bottom, just not the title, but in the description, put alternative assessment, or just assessment would be just great. If you want to see more things that are on the activity exchange, just put in assessment, and then look by list. Instead of summary, whoops, little typo there. Y instead of a T. Okay.
That's so-handed. I was never a great typist to begin with, and with one hand, it's like really bad.
And select submit. And what you'll get is a list of activities. There are 55 of them. And if you scroll down, you can see which ones have overlays, which ones are switch access. Gives you a nice, quick view of activities. And once you find people who you like their activities, chances are they'll have done other things as well. With there's a group of things for the Star Alt, for Lavinia who's asking about Star Alt. So you look down and find the activities, and you can see at the bottom there under Matt it says 2013 Sample Alternative Assessments, Linda Laverty. So
let me ask you about this, Susan, because I was only given one option, which was to check to 5 or middle school or high school, but it's all of them. And there's no opportunity to do that when you upload. So that might be something that you might be able to talk to the company about. I very often do activities that are not just their group of activities. They're not limited to primary or secondary. So,
and some of the comments that have been coming up about maybe could have some more rigorous language in activities, maybe looking at a search that would include alternative assessment. Those are things that we really, can be thinking about in the future. But you see,
there was one question that I want to address to anyone who's listening. Those who have experienced the alternate assessment, this came as close as I could find to that. It isn't a perfect match yet. What I would like to see happen, and what I created from scratch, except that it would mean that would not have any life at all, is that the first participatory level is tiered. 3 choices, the detractors are removed to where there's one choice. At the end of the question, it got all 3 right. It goes to a supported level, which is an option that has a little more rigor to it. 3 choices again, but if they get it wrong, not given other choices, that's it. The question's over. If they get it right at the supported level, it goes to the independent level. That is the true format of the alternate assessment. So primary skill builders captures it to some extent, not fully, and maybe that's something those of you who are listening might want to share with IntelliTools in terms of future development. I do it. I can do it from scratch. It is terribly time-consuming. It would be great if there was a template where within minutes, just like this one, I could put in the content and the pictures, and I would have something that truly is the form of the alternate assessment. Those of you who are out there who are...
Can you
sorry,
download? You've got your activity here, but let's show them how they can download and import it, because that's the next key thing. What do you how are we going to...
Clicked on it and it says download. So I'm going to click download. I'm going to save it. Don't open it. It's a mistake that teachers make. It will not run by opening it from the web. You've got to save it.
And then download it. How do we bring it into Classroom Suite?
Download it. You will go up your, I'm going to go to the home page. Your published folders. Click import. Find where you saved your, I usually suggest to teachers they save it in, I'll just put it on their desktop temporarily. So here's the folder. This is when I actually export it. But you would navigate to it. It goes. And I would replace. The import is complete. It really takes just to download and import it, but import is an important part of downloading. The activities will run correctly if you import them. They may not run correctly if you don't import. So to the question about getting the activity and
help people understand the circle, because you've done these things. So when they open the folder, what are they going to find? Can you show us?
When they open the folder, they're going to find a folder for primary and a folder for secondary. The primary includes math. We did one in the multiple choice format because I really liked that I could put the stimulus picture right with the questions. Read, science, actually 2 science activities, and I did that because it's so difficult to find that relates to science, and with the practice materials, we only test science in 4th grade, so a 3rd or 5th grade teacher would not have anything. If you go to the secondary folder, you'll find science again, geometry, and reading. So again, I go to activity exchange. You're going to sign in. As Suzanne suggested, if you use the advanced search, you type in description, assessments, you will see a huge list. If you do it and do it by list, submit. There's all these activities that relate to assessment.
You got a bunch of down. Nice to see that 4,381 activities, and the last one is the one that Linda just uploaded. And looking at authors, looking at what's here, I mean, this is a gold mine.
It really is. And do trainings on Classroom Suite. Teachers many times don't have time to author it. As easy as you've made it, or other templates, which I'm not even covering in this workshop. There's just a time factor, and the activity exchange is a great resource for you if you don't have time to get into authoring.
So people are looking at alternative assessment and uploading activities. If you use the buzzwords alternative assessment, it'll be easier for all of us to find different activities. And I think that's what's magic of it. You know, 200 people signed up for this webinar. If everybody were to just say, oh, this might be a good idea for one of my students, and they upload it, then that's a huge opportunity for sharing.
Right.
Yes.
And I'm really glad that you showed people the advanced search, because it's finding more activities than you would find if you just did a simple search.
And Suzanne, it's now 7:05, and we can let our friends go. So I'm going to show one last slide. If you'll just bear with me a moment. It will show some resources where you get more information. I'm a little...
Can I add one, Debbie?
Yes, please.
Real quickly. And
sure.
I didn't have an opportunity to show it, but IntelliTools in the picture dictionary, if you notice, also has BoardMaker pictures. If you like BoardMaker and you want the picture used to correspond to a communication device, you can use the pictures. They have a huge library of BoardMaker symbols, so you could have made this activity a BoardMaker symbol if you had wanted to. I just want to add a word of caution about that. Absolutely no pictures in the alternate assessment is a BoardMaker graphic. So you may want to introduce your students to other kinds of graphics besides BoardMaker. That's what you say about that.
Thank you.
Have access to Unique, then the symbol sticks are all free. You have access to the symbol sticks library if you're a Unique or new to you subscriber, and there are millions of pictures on the web too to add. So I think you've opened up some new opportunities and new windows for people to think outside the box, which has been great.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to go over a few things just to round this out. Our website is here, IntelliTools.com. We also have some more other free webinars. Some people did ask if the activities that Linda showed us could be customized, and yes, they can. So you may want to look at our other webinars. Somebody did, when registered, asked about scripting. We are going to have a webinar about scripting. That's Create Interactive Activities in Classroom Suite, so check that one out. And Suzanne is doing a 3-part webinar using Classroom Suite and Unique Learning System. If you're interested in that, again, it's free, and make sure you sign up for all 3 parts. Now, we do not give out anything other than, we don't give out contact hours at this point for our webinars, but we will give you a certificate of participation. And if you would like one, send me an email. My email address is there, and you also have you'll also have my email address in other correspondence that I've sent to you through email. And again, a recorded version of this webinar will be available soon. Watch your email inbox from an email from IntelliTools, and it will contain lots of information about everything that we covered. And also, for those people that we didn't answer your questions, we apologize, and we will answer them privately in the next day or two. And we thank you all very much for coming, and have a nice evening.
For giving me the opportunity to do this, Debbie.
You did a great job, Linda.